The alarm bells rang across the monitoring station on Nexus Prime. Commander Blake rushed to his workstation, his boots echoing in the metal corridors. The red lights flashed overhead as his team gathered around the main console. "What do we have?" Blake asked, looking at the data streaming across the screens. Crix, the insectoid analyst, clicked his mandibles nervously. His 6 arms moved across different control panels at once. "Commander, we are receiving an emergency transmission from Sector 7 Alpha. The signal is strange." Blake frowned. Sector 7 Alpha was empty space. No known civilizations existed there. The Galactic Council had mapped that region decades ago. Nothing but dead rocks and gas clouds. "Strange how?" Blake asked. The gaseous being called Vorth floated beside them. His voice came through the translation unit, like wind through leaves. "The signal uses primitive radio waves. Very old technology. But the mathematical sequences are correct. This proves intelligence." Blake studied the data. The transmission was weak, but steady. Someone was sending it repeatedly, like a recorded message on loop. "Can you decode it?" Crix worked on his console for several minutes. His insect eyes reflected the screen light as numbers and symbols appeared. "Yes, Commander. The message is decoded. You will want to hear this." The speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke in an unknown language, but the translation unit converted it to galactic standard. "This is Earth calling any civilization that can hear this message. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Our planet is located at coordinates." The voice paused, then continued with mathematical data. "We call ourselves humans. The attackers consume everything in their path. They take our ships, our technology, our people. We have fought for 3 days. Our defenses are failing. If anyone received this message, please help us. We do not want to die." The message repeated. Blake felt his blood turn cold. Crix stepped back from his console. Vorth's gaseous form darkened with fear. "Commander," Vorth whispered, "did the message mention consumption? Taking ships and technology?" Blake nodded slowly. "Check the historical database. Search for consumption and ship-taking patterns." Crix's claws clicked rapidly on his console. After a moment, he stopped. His compound eyes looked at Blake with terror. "Commander, the computer finds one match. The Devourers." The bridge fell silent. Every crew member knew that name from their history lessons. The Devourers were legend, nightmare stories told to young aliens about ancient times. They were said to consume entire star systems, growing stronger with each victory. But the Devourers vanished thousands of years ago. Blake said, "They're myths." "The database says they consumed 47 civilizations before disappearing," Crix replied. "No one knows where they went. Many believe they died out or moved to other galaxies." Blake opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council headquarters. Within minutes, Chancellor Thane's crystalline face appeared on the screen. The old leader's faceted features showed concern. "Commander Blake, explain this emergency transmission." Blake transmitted the decoded message. As Chancellor Thane listened, his crystal body began to glow with a deep red light, a sign of extreme stress in his species. "You are certain this mentions consumption and technology absorption?" Thane asked. "Yes, Chancellor. The description matches historical records of Devourer attacks." Thane was quiet for a long moment. Behind him, Blake could see other council members gathering. Representatives from dozens of species filled the council chamber. The bird-like skywalkers flapped their wings nervously. The rock creatures called Stoneheart stood motionless but alert. "Commander, maintain monitoring of that sector. We will discuss this matter immediately." The transmission ended. Blake turned to his crew. "Continue monitoring the signal. I want to know if anything changes." For the next hour, the human distress call repeated without change. Then suddenly, the transmission cut off. The bridge crew stared at their instruments in shock. "Did we lose the signal?" Blake asked. Crix checked his equipment. "No, Commander." The transmission simply stopped. "Either their equipment was destroyed or they're all dead," Blake finished. But 5 minutes later, a new transmission began from the same coordinates. This time the voice was different, calmer, more controlled. "This is Admiral Cole of the Earth Defense Force. The immediate threat has been contained. Any responding vessel should approach with caution. Hostile forces may still be in the area." Blake and his crew exchanged confused looks. The humans were still alive? How was that possible? On the Council homeworld, the emergency session continued for hours. Representatives argued loudly in dozens of languages. The Prime Directive forbade interference with primitive civilizations. But if the Devourers had truly returned, every species in the galaxy was at risk. Chancellor Thane called for order. The question before us is simple. Do we investigate this transmission or ignore it? Council member Vex, representing the warrior race called Ironhides, stood up. His massive armored body gleamed under the chamber lights. "If the Devourers have returned, we must know. They consumed my people's home colonies before we learned to fight them. We cannot let that happen again." "But these humans are primitive," argued Council member Lyra from the peaceful Green World species. "They have not achieved faster-than-light travel. Contact would violate every law we have." "The Devourers care nothing for our laws," Vex replied. "They consumed the peaceful songbird race in 3 days. They turned the cloud dancers into breeding material. If they have found new prey, they will grow stronger." The debate continued. Some species wanted to help. Others feared contamination of primitive cultures. A few suggested that losing one unknown species was acceptable if it meant avoiding a larger war. Finally, Chancellor Thane made the decision. "We will send a small reconnaissance fleet. Their mission is observation only. No direct contact unless absolutely necessary." Back on Nexus Prime, Blake received new orders. His monitoring station would coordinate with the fleet. Captain Reed of the Depth Walker species would lead the mission. Blake watched his instruments as the reconnaissance fleet assembled. Ships from 5 different species joined the group. The technology of the machine race called circuits, the military power of the Ironhides, the diplomatic skills of the empathic Mindlinks, the scientific equipment of the crystal beings, the stealth capabilities of the shadow race known as Whispers. Fleet assembled and ready, came Captain Reed's voice through the communication system. Estimated travel time to Sector 7 Alpha, 6 standard hours. Blake settled in for a long wait. He kept monitoring the human transmissions. Admiral Cole's voice continued to update the situation. The humans claimed they had repelled the initial assault and were pursuing retreating hostiles. It sounded impossible. No primitive species could defeat the Devourers, but the transmissions kept coming. As the reconnaissance fleet traveled toward Earth, Blake noticed something strange in the signals. The humans were not just defending anymore. They were hunting. Captain Reed's ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. His aquatic body floated in the specialized command chamber filled with biofluid. Through his gills, he tasted the stress chemicals released by his crew. "Full sensor sweep," Reed ordered. His sonar-like voice carried through the ship's communication system. The results appeared on the holographic display. Reed's large eyes widened as he studied the data. Space debris filled the inner system. Thousands of metal fragments drifted in orbital patterns around the 3rd planet. "Captain," reported a science officer, "a circuit being called Unit 47. The debris pattern suggests a massive battle occurred here. Analysis indicates 2 distinct technology types." Reed studied the readings. "Show me." The hologram zoomed in on various debris pieces. Some fragments showed familiar metal alloys and energy patterns, but others were different, organic-looking, with smooth curves and biomechanical components. "The organic debris matches no known technology in our databases." Unit 47 continued, "but the composition suggests rapid adaptation and growth capabilities." Reed felt his heart skip a beat. Adaptive biotechnology was a signature of Devourer ships. What about the other debris? Primitive fusion drives. Basic kinetic weapons. The technology level is approximately 2,000 years behind current galactic standards. "The humans," Reed whispered. His communication officer, a mind link called Echo, suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I am detecting active transmissions from the 3rd planet. The humans are still broadcasting." "Put it through." The speakers activated. Admiral Cole's voice filled the bridge. Earth Defense Command to any approaching vessels. Identify yourselves and state your intentions. We have the system secured, but remain on high alert. Reed exchanged glances with his crew. The humans sounded confident, almost casual. How could a primitive species be so calm after fighting the Devourers? Open a channel, Reed ordered. This is Captain Reed of the Galactic Council Reconnaissance Fleet. We received your distress signal and came to investigate. The response came quickly. Captain Reed, this is Admiral Cole. We appreciate your concern, but the situation is under control. However, your arrival is interesting. We were not aware of other spacefaring civilizations in this region. Reed hesitated. The Prime Directive clearly forbade revealing galactic civilization to primitive species. But the humans had obviously encountered advanced technology through the Devourers. Admiral Cole, our sensors indicate you engaged hostile forces in this system. Can you confirm the threat has been eliminated? There was a pause before Cole replied. Captain, I can confirm that immediate threats to Earth have been neutralized. However, we are currently engaged in pursuit operations beyond the system perimeter. Pursuit operations? Reed asked, confused. The hostile forces attempted to retreat when their initial assault failed. We are ensuring they do not regroup or threaten other systems. Reed's crew stared at each other in shock. The humans were pursuing Devourers? That was impossible. No species had ever successfully hunted Devourers. They were the hunters, not the prey. Admiral, would it be possible for our fleet to observe these pursuit operations? Certainly, Captain, but I recommend you maintain a safe distance. Our tactics may seem unusual to outside observers. Reed ordered his fleet to follow the human signal traces beyond the system edge, where they found defied all logic and tactical understanding. Human ships, crude, blocky vessels with primitive engines, were systematically hunting down Devourer bio ships. The alien vessels that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia were fleeing like frightened animals. Captain, Unit 47 reported, I am analyzing the battle patterns. The human tactics are disturbing. Reed watched the tactical display. Human ships were ramming into Devourer vessels, apparently using their own hulls as weapons. Other human craft had somehow captured intact Devourer bio ships and were using them against their former owners. How are they controlling Devourer ships? Reed asked. Unknown, Captain. Devourer biotechnology requires neural integration. It should be impossible for any other species to operate. On the communication channel, Admiral Cole's voice provided updates. Hunter Group 7 has cornered 3 bio ships in Asteroid Field Delta, moving to intercept. Hunter Group 12 reports successful capture of breeder vessel, transferring to Research Station Beta. Reed felt sick. The humans were not just fighting Devourers. They were capturing them, studying them, using them. It violated every principle of civilized warfare. Captain, Echo said, her empathic abilities detecting Reed's distress. The human emotion patterns are unusual. They show no fear, no hesitation, only cold determination. Reed opened a channel to his fleet. Ships from 5 different species maintain formation around his command vessel. All vessels maintain observation distance. Record everything. Through the ship's sensors, Reed watched human forces coordinate their hunt with mechanical precision. They had divided into groups, each pursuing different Devourer craft. No mercy was shown. No quarter was given. Captain Reed, Admiral Cole's voice crackled through the speakers. My science team would like to meet with your researchers. We have questions about the galaxy's structure and other civilizations. Reed realized the humans wanted to learn about the galactic community. But how could he explain that primitive species were supposed to be protected, not invited to join? The Prime Directive existed for good reasons. Admiral, such discussions would require approval from higher authorities. Of course. In the meantime, you are welcome to observe our operations. We are still tracking approximately 47 Devourer vessels that escaped the initial battle. Reed's blood ran cold. 47 vessels? A single Devourer ship could threaten an entire star system. The humans were hunting nearly 50 of them as if it were a routine military exercise. Admiral, These hostile forces, how long have you been fighting them? The initial attack began 96 hours ago. We achieved orbital superiority within 72 hours. The pursuit phase has been ongoing for the past day. Reed could not believe what he was hearing. The humans had defeated a Devourer assault fleet in 3 days. Species with advanced technology and military experience had fallen to smaller Devourer forces. How did you achieve victory so quickly? Cole's voice carried what sounded like amusement. Captain, when someone threatens your home, you do whatever it takes to stop them. The attackers made the mistake of thinking we would fight like other species they had encountered. Reed watched another human ship ram into a fleeing Devourer vessel. Both ships exploded in brilliant light. Minutes later, more human craft arrived to collect the debris and any surviving biocomponents. Unit 47, Reed said quietly, analyze human casualties from these ramming attacks. The circuit being processed the data. Captain, human ships that execute ramming attacks show crew survival rates near zero. They are deliberately sacrificing themselves. Reed felt his aquatic body shudder. What kind of species use suicide attacks as standard military tactics? How could they be so casual about death? As his fleet continued to observe, Reed realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. The Devourers, ancient terrors of the galaxy, were being systematically exterminated by a species that had not even achieved interstellar travel a week ago. The humans were not just defeating their enemies. They were evolving, adapting, becoming something new with each battle. Reed began to understand why Admiral Cole had spoken of unusual tactics. These humans did not fight like any civilized species. They fought like Devourers, with complete ruthlessness and adaptive intelligence. But unlike the Devourers, they seemed to retain their individual consciousness and coordination abilities. Reed sent an emergency transmission back to Galactic Council. Request immediate council session. The situation here requires urgent discussion. As he waited for a reply, Reed watched human forces continue their relentless hunt. Something told him the galaxy was about to change forever. Captain Reed's fleet maintained their observation position as human hunting groups spread across 3 star systems. What they witnessed over the next 2 days challenged everything the galactic community understood about warfare, survival, and the nature of sentient life. Admiral Cole had invited Reed to observe from closer range. Against his better judgment, Reed moved his flagship within communication distance of the human command ship, a massive vessel that appeared to be constructed from dozens of smaller craft welded together. Captain Reed, Cole's voice came through the speakers. Welcome to the Prometheus. I apologize for the unusual appearance of our ship. We have been adapting our designs based on capture technology. Reed stared at his displays in shock. The human command vessel was partially organic. Biomechanical components from Devourer ships had been integrated into human technology. Somehow, the humans had learned control and modified Devourer biosystems. Admiral, how did you achieve biointegration? Our scientists have studied Devourer technology for centuries without success. Cole's response chilled Reed to his core. Captain, when someone invades your home and tries to eat your children, you learn their weaknesses very quickly. We captured several intact Devourer specimens during the initial battle. Our research teams worked around the clock to understand their biology and technology. Through his ship sensors, Reed watched human vessels that bore little resemblance to primitive craft they had been using days earlier. The humans had somehow reverse-engineered and improved upon Devourer biotechnology in less than a week. Show me your research process, Reed requested, though part of him dreaded the answer. Certainly. Dr. Hayes, our lead xenobiologist, can provide details. A new voice joined the communication. Dr. Hayes spoke with the calm precision of a scientist, but her words made Reed's crew step back from their stations in horror. Captain Reed, we began by performing live dissections on captured Devourer specimens. The bioships are actually living creatures, part ship, part organism. They require neural connection to function. Initially, we could not establish this connection. Reed's empathic officer, Echo, began trembling. Captain, the human emotions. There is no regret, no guilt about these experiments. Dr. Hayes continued. We discovered that devourer neural networks could be overridden through electromagnetic pulse followed by immediate surgical integration. By implanting human neural tissue into their control systems, we achieved limited operational capability. You implanted human tissue into living alien organisms? Reed asked, his voice barely a whisper. Correct. Volunteer test subjects allowed us to create hybrid control systems. The initial attempts had high mortality rates, but we achieved functional integration within 36 hours. Reed felt sick. The humans were describing horrific medical experiments as if they were routine engineering problems. They spoke of volunteer test subjects dying as minor setbacks in their research. Admiral Cole, Reed said, surely your people objected to such extreme measures? Cole's reply came without hesitation. Captain, the Devourers consumed 3 of our orbital stations and attempted to land breeding pods on our planet. They intended to use humans as food and reproductive material. Our people understood what was necessary. Reed watched tactical displays, showing human hunter groups cornering Devourer vessels. But now he saw the full scope of human operations. They were not just destroying their enemies. They were capturing, studying, and converting everything they could use. Unit 47, Reed whispered to his science officer, analyze the human bioship modifications. The circuit being processed the data for several minutes before responding. Captain, the human improvements exceed original Devourer capabilities. They have enhanced speed, weapon systems, and adaptive capabilities. Somehow, they have made Devourer technology better than the Devourers themselves. Through his observation window, Reed saw a sight that would haunt him forever. A human bioship, clearly modified from Devourer origins, was hunting down a pure Devourer vessel. The modified ship moved with predatory intelligence, adapting its tactics in real time to counter its prey's desperate maneuvers. Admiral, Reed asked, how many of your people have undergone neural integration with captured bioships? Approximately 2,000 volunteers have successful integration. Another 500 are in various stages of the process. We expect to have full bioship squadrons operational within the week. Reed could barely process the numbers. 2,000 humans had voluntarily allowed alien technology to be surgically implanted into their nervous systems. It was madness, but clearly effective madness. Dr. Hayes added more details that made Reed's crew physically ill. We have also developed techniques for rapid bioship reproduction using captured breeding material. Each successful hunt provides resources for 3 to 4 new hybrid vessels. The humans were not just fighting Devourers. They were out-reproducing them. They had turned the Devourers' own biological advantages against them. Captain Reed, Admiral Cole said, perhaps you would like to observe our Tactical Coordination Center? Against every instinct screaming at him to flee, Reed agreed. His shuttle landed in the human command ship's docking bay. The sight that greeted him defied comprehension. Human technicians worked alongside partially converted bioship components. Living alien tissue pulsed with electronic systems. Humans with visible surgical scars coordinated with bioship neural networks through direct cranial interfaces. Admiral Cole met Reed at the airlock. The human leader appeared normal, except for a thin metal device attached to his temple, clearly some form of neural enhancement. Welcome aboard, Captain. As you can see, we have adapted quickly to our new circumstances. Reed followed Cole through corridors that were part metal, part living tissue. Human crew members worked with casual efficiency around technology that should have been impossible for them to understand. Admiral, this level of adaptation, how did your people accept such dramatic changes? Cole stopped and faced Reed directly. For the first time, the human showed emotion, cold, focused anger that made Reed step backward. Captain, the Devourers broadcast their intentions when they attacked. They planned to consume our entire planet. Every man, woman, and child would have been food or breeding stock. When facing extinction, you become whatever you need to become. Reed was led to the tactical center, where he saw the true scope of human operations. Holographic displays showed hunter groups operating across multiple star systems. Each group combined traditional human ships with modified biovessels and hybrid technology. Dr. Hayes explained their hunting strategy. We have learned that Devourers follow predictable migration patterns. They seek systems with suitable biomass for consumption and reproduction. By analyzing their movement patterns, we can intercept them before they reach other inhabited worlds. Reed realized the implications. You're hunting them to protect other species? Partially, Cole replied. But primarily, we are ensuring they never again pose a threat to Earth. The most effective way to achieve this goal is complete elimination of their species. Reed stared at the tactical displays, showing dozens of pursuit operations. The humans were conducting systematic genocide against the Devourers with the same calm efficiency they might use for mining operations. Admiral, surely your government has concerns about the ethical implications of these actions? Cole's expression showed genuine confusion. Captain, what ethical concerns? The Devourers are plague species that consume sentient life. Eliminating them benefits every civilization in the galaxy. Reed sent an encrypted message to his fleet. Prepare for immediate departure. Emergency council session required. As Reed returned to his shuttle, he saw human children playing in recreational areas near the bioship integration chambers. They showed no fear of the alien technology, treating it as a normal part of their environment. Admiral, Reed said as he prepared to leave, what are your plans after the Devourer threat is eliminated? Cole smiled, an expression that somehow seemed more predatory than friendly. Captain, we have learned that the galaxy contains many intelligent species. Earth looks forward to meeting our neighbors. Reed's shuttle launched from the human command ship. As they flew back to his fleet, Reed watched more human vessels arriving at the tactical coordination point. Some were traditional human designs. Others were clearly bioships that had been converted from captured Devourer vessels. Captain, Echo reported, the human emotional patterns show no uncertainty, no fear of the changes they have undergone. They have accepted their transformation completely. Reed opened communications with the Galactic Council. Chancellor Thane, emergency report. The humans have not just survived the Devourer attack. They have become something new, something that may pose an even greater threat than the Devourers themselves. As his fleet prepared to return to Council space, Reed took one last look at the tactical displays. Human hunter groups were systematically eliminating Devourer forces across a region of space larger than most galactic member territories. In less than a week, a primitive species had evolved into the galaxy's most effective predators. They had taken the worst threat the galaxy had ever known and turned it into raw material for their own advancement. Reed realized that the emergency signal they had answered was not a call for rescue. It was an announcement. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks after Captain Reed's fleet returned to Council space, reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. The emergency session had lasted for days, with representatives from dozens of species arguing about the human situation. Now, those arguments seemed pointless. Chancellor Thane stood before the assembled council, his crystalline body glowing with stress patterns that hurt to look at directly. The holographic display behind him showed a map of known space with red markers spreading like a disease. Fellow council members, Thane began, we face an unprecedented situation. The humans have not limited their operations to their home system. The display zoomed in on various red markers. Each one represented a star system where human forces had been detected. The pattern was clear and terrifying. They were systematically hunting Devourers across multiple sectors. Council member Vex of the Ironhide stood up, his massive armored form dwarfing the other representatives. Chancellor, my people's border worlds report human ships entering our territory without permission. They claim to be securing the region against Devourer threats. The same reports come from Green World Space, added Councilmember Lyra, her plant-like features rustling with anxiety. Human bioships are patrolling our trade routes. When our merchants ask them to leave, they respond that the area is not yet safe. Reed stepped forward from his observer position. Council members, I have received new intelligence from our monitoring stations. The scope of human operations exceeds our initial estimates. The display changed to show intercepted human communications. Admiral Cole's voice filled the chamber through the translation systems. Sector 7 cleared of hostile biosigns. Moving strike force to Sector 12. Intelligence suggests major Devourer breeding facility in that region. Estimated time to elimination, 6 standard days. Chancellor Thane's glow shifted to deep red. They are treating the galaxy like their personal hunting ground. Dr. Hayes' voice joined the recording. Admiral, we have confirmed the location of the primary Devourer homeworld. The planet shows massive bioship construction facilities and breeding pools. Recommend immediate sterilization operation. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices. The Devourer homeworld was a mythical place, spoken of only in ancient warnings. No one had ever found it, much less planned to attack it. How did they locate something that is hidden for millennia? Asked Whisperer 7, the shadow being representative. Reed answered grimly. They captured and interrogated high-level Devourer bioforms. Our intelligence suggests they extracted navigation data and memory patterns through direct neural interface. The holographic display showed new footage that Reed's monitoring stations had intercepted. Human fleets were assembling in deep space. Hundreds of ships that mixed primitive human technology with advanced biomechanical systems. But what shocked the Council most was the sheer size of the human force. In 3 weeks, they had apparently constructed more warships than some species built in decades. How are they manufacturing vessels so quickly? Thane asked. Reed activated another display. They are not just building ships, Chancellor. They are growing them. The new images showed massive bioship breeding facilities in the asteroid fields of the Sol system. Human technicians worked alongside living ship components that pulsed and grew like massive organisms. Dr. Hayes' voice provided narration from intercepted communications. Breeding Cycle 7 shows 300% improvement over Devourer baseline production. Integration of human neural enhancement allows for accelerated growth and superior tactical capabilities. Council member Echo of the Mind Links suddenly gasped, her empathic abilities detecting something that made her recoil in horror. Chancellor, I sense something terrible in these transmissions. The humans, they are not just using Devourer technology. They are improving upon it. The display showed comparative analysis between original Devourer bioships and human-modified versions. The human improvements were significant. Faster growth, better weapons, enhanced adaptive capabilities. They have out-evolved the Devourers in less than a month, Reed reported. Our xenobiologists estimate it should have taken centuries to achieve such modifications. Admiral Cole's voice continued through the intercepted communications. Primary assault fleet ready for deployment. Target, Devourer homeworld. Mission parameters, complete planetary sterilization. No survivors. No exceptions. The council chamber fell silent. The humans were planning to destroy an entire planet. Not just the Devourers on it, but the planet itself. Chancellor Thane called for order as representatives began arguing loudly. The question before us is clear. Do we attempt to stop them? With what forces? Vex asked. My people are warriors, but the humans have absorbed Devourer military capabilities. They now possess bioship fleets that could challenge our combined navies. Council member Pulse, representing the energy beings of the Corona systems, sparked with agitation. We cannot allow genocide, even against the Devourers. There must be limits to acceptable behavior. Tell that to the 47 civilizations the Devourers consumed, Vex replied. The humans are solving a problem we can never solve ourselves. Reed stepped forward again. Council members, there is more. Our deep space monitors have detected human scout ships in previously unexplored regions. They are not just hunting known Devourer locations. They are searching for any trace of Devourer presence throughout the galaxy. The display showed the full scope of human expansion. Red dots mark human ship sightings across a region of space larger than the entire Council territory. They have divided into hunting fleets, Reed explained. Each fleet operates independently, following different Devourer trail patterns. Conservative estimates suggest they now have operational presence in over 200 star systems. Chancellor Thane's crystalline form began to crack under stress. In 3 weeks, they have achieved military expansion that took our civilization centuries to accomplish. Dr. Hayes' voice provided more disturbing details through the communications intercept. Psychological profiles of captured Devourer specimens show interesting data. They exhibit fear responses when exposed to human bioship signatures. The hunters have become the hunted. Echo suddenly stood up, her empathic abilities detecting something that made her voice shake with terror. Chancellor, I sense the emotional patterns in these human communications. They show no satisfaction from their victories. No relief that the threat is eliminated. Only hunger. Hunger for what? Thane asked. For more challenges. The humans have discovered they can defeat the galaxy's greatest threat. Now they want to test themselves against other dangers. Reed activated a new display, showing the most recent human communications. Admiral Cole's voice carried in tone that chilled every representative in the chamber. Devourer threat assessment. Minimal remaining risk. Initiating galaxy-wide security protocols. Any species harboring Devourer sympathizers or biomaterial will be considered hostile. Resistance to security operations will result in immediate military response. The Council realized the humans were no longer just hunting Devourers. They were positioning themselves as the galaxy's self-appointed guardians, whether other species wanted their protection or not. They are declaring authority over the entire galaxy, Lyra whispered. Reed nodded grimly. Our analysts believed this was inevitable. The humans have evolved beyond their original nature. They are no longer the same species that sent the distress signal. The holographic display showed footage of human colonies being established on former Devourer worlds. Humans were terraforming planets with the same ruthless efficiency they had used to hunt their enemies. Chancellor, Vex said quietly, my people have a saying, when you hunt monsters, be careful not to become one yourself. I fear the humans have crossed that line. Chancellor Thane looked at the assembled representatives. Every species that had existed in fear of the Devourers now faced something potentially worse, a species that had absorbed Devourer capabilities but retained human intelligence and organization. What do our military advisors recommend? Thane asked. General Steele of the machine race circuits responded with mechanical precision. Conventional military resistance would be futile. Human bioship technology exceeds our current capabilities. Recommendation, diplomatic engagement, and careful monitoring. Diplomatic engagement with a species that views the galaxy as their hunting preserve? Pulse asked, his energy form flickering with agitation. Reed provided the final piece of disturbing intelligence. Council members, our monitoring stations have detected human deep space exploration beyond galactic borders. They appear to be searching for other threats to eliminate. The implications were clear. The humans were not content with solving the Devourer problem. They were actively seeking out new challenges, new threats to overcome. Admiral Cole's voice provided the final transmission that silenced all debate. Earth Command to all human fleets. Phase 1 operations complete. Devourer threat eliminated. Initiating Phase 2, Galactic Security Establishment. Any species requiring protection should submit formal requests through proper channels. Chancellor Thane closed the session with words that would be remembered throughout galactic history. We came to rescue a primitive species from ancient monsters. Instead, we witnessed the birth of something far more terrifying than the monsters themselves. As representatives filed out of the chamber, each returned to their homeworlds carrying the same message. The galaxy's greatest predators were no longer the Devourers. They were the species that had hunted the Devourers to extinction. 6 months after the first emergency signal from Earth, President Martinez sat in a newly constructed human embassy on the Council homeworld. The building itself made a statement. Part traditional human architecture, part biomechanical design, that pulsed with subtle organic rhythms. Chancellor Thane entered the meeting room with a delegation of Council representatives. His crystalline form had developed permanent stress fractures since the human situation began. Behind him walked the leaders of a dozen species, all showing signs of fear and uncertainty. President Martinez. Thane began, "Thank you for accepting our invitation to discuss current galactic conditions." Martinez smiled, an expression that somehow seemed more predatory than friendly. Behind her stood Admiral Cole and Dr. Hayes, both bearing the neural interface devices that had become standard among human leadership. Chancellor Thane. Earth appreciates the Council's concern for galactic security. We are pleased to report that the Devourer threat has been completely eliminated. The Council representatives exchanged nervous glances. They all knew what completely eliminated meant. The humans had found and sterilized the Devourer homeworld, hunting down every last bioship and breeding facility across the galaxy. Yes, Thane replied carefully. We are grateful for your efforts. However, there have been concerns about human expansion into Council space. Martinez activated a holographic display showing human-controlled territory. Red zones marked areas under protective supervision, nearly a third of known galactic space. Earth has established security perimeters around vulnerable civilizations, Martinez explained. Our analysis identified several species that could not adequately defend themselves against Devourer-level threats. Council member Vex leaned forward, his armored bulk creaking. President Martinez, my people are warriors. We have defended ourselves for millennia. We do not require protection. Dr. Hayes responded with clinical precision. Our threat assessment indicates the Ironhide military doctrine would have resulted in 73% casualties against a full Devourer assault. Human intervention improved survival probability to 94%. The casual way she discussed theoretical genocide made several council members visibly uncomfortable. But the Devourers are gone, Lyra pointed out, her plant-like features rustling with anxiety. Admiral Cole stepped forward. President, if I may address that concern. He activated another display showing deep space sensor readings. Our exploration fleets have detected evidence of other potential threats beyond galactic borders. The display showed massive energy signatures moving through intergalactic space, something vast and unknown approaching from distant galaxies. We have identified at least 3 distinct threat patterns that could reach Council space within the next 50 to 200 years, Cole continued. Earth recommends immediate preparation and fortification. Chancellor Thane felt his crystal body crack further. What kind of threats? Dr. Hayes provided the analysis. Preliminary data suggests machine intelligences, energy-based life forms, and something our xenobiologists cannot classify. Each represents extinction-level danger to current galactic civilizations. Martinez stood up and walked to the large window overlooking the Council capital city. Below, human security forces could be seen patrolling alongside biomechanical constructs that moved with predatory grace. Chancellor, the galaxy is a dangerous place. Earth learned this the hard way when the Devourers attacked our home. We refuse to let other civilizations suffer the same threat. But at what cost? Thane asked. Human forces now control more territory than the entire Council. Your bioships patrol trade routes without permission. Your research stations harvest resources from uninhabited worlds without consultation. Martinez turned back to face the Council delegation. Every action Earth takes serves galactic security. The resources we gather become defensive installations. The territory we monitor becomes safe zones for peaceful species. Admiral Cole added supporting data. Human defensive networks have prevented 3 attempted incursions by Devourer remnant forces. Without our intervention, those attacks would have reached Greenworld and Skywalker territories. Councilmember Echo, the empath, suddenly gasped. Her abilities detected something in the human emotions that terrified her. President Martinez, your people, what have you become? Martinez smiled again, that same predatory expression that had become characteristic of human leadership. Ms. Echo, we have become what the galaxy needed. Guardians. Protectors, the species willing to do whatever is necessary to ensure survival. Dr. Hayes provided more disturbing details. Human evolution has accelerated significantly since the Devourer conflict. Neural integration with bioship technology has enhanced our cognitive capabilities by 340%. Physical modifications allow for improved combat performance and space adaptation. The Council representatives realized they were no longer speaking with the same species that had sent the original distress signal. The humans had fundamentally transformed themselves. What about choice? Pulse asked, his energy form flickering with agitation. What if species prefer to defend themselves? Admiral Cole's response chilled the room. Species that can adequately defend themselves are welcome to maintain independence, provided they do not harbor threats or compromise galactic security. Species that cannot defend themselves will receive protection, whether they request it or not. Martinez activated a final display showing the scope of human operations. Fleets of bioships patrol vast regions of space. Research stations study potential threats. Colonies establish strategic positions on key worlds. Earth's position is simple, Martinez declared. Never again will we allow threats like the Devourers to consume innocent civilizations. Never again will we respond to distress signals only to find empty space where living worlds once existed. Chancellor Thane understood the implications. You are creating a galactic empire. We are creating galactic security, Martinez corrected. Earth has no interest in ruling other species. We are interested only in ensuring their survival. Dr. Hayes added the final piece of the puzzle. Our long-term projections indicate a 97% probability of galactic survival under human protection protocols. Without intervention, probability drops to 23% within the next millennium. The meeting continued for hours, but the outcome was predetermined. The Council could object to human expansion, but they lacked the power to stop it. The species that had defeated the Devourers could certainly handle any resistance from peaceful civilizations. As the Council delegation prepared to leave, Admiral Cole made one final statement. Council members, Earth wants to be clear about our intentions. We are not conquerors. We are protectors. Any species that threatens galactic peace will face the same fate as the Devourers. After the Council representatives left, Martinez stood alone in the embassy conference room. Through the biomechanical walls, she could feel the pulse of human civilization spreading across the galaxy. Admiral Cole joined her at the window. Madam President, the Outer Rim exploration fleets report contact with the approaching machine intelligence. Initial engagement successful. The threat has been contained. Martinez nodded. Excellent. What about the energy-based life forms? Research teams are developing countermeasures. Dr. Hayes estimates we will have effective weapons within 6 months. Below them, the Council capital bustled with activity. But now human bioships hung in the sky like protective angels or watchful predators, depending on one's perspective. Admiral, Martinez said quietly, do you ever wonder what we become? Cole considered the question seriously. Madam President, we have become what the galaxy forced us to become. When the Devourers attacked Earth, they created something new. They created a species that would never again allow such threats to exist. Martinez smiled, watching human security forces coordinate with local authorities. The emergency signal we sent 6 months ago was answered, Admiral, just not in the way we expected. How so, Madam President? We called for rescue. Instead, we discovered we were the rescuers. We just didn't know it yet. As night fell over the Council capital, human bioships continued their silent patrol. In the depths of space, human exploration fleets pushed further into the unknown, seeking new threats to eliminate. The galaxy was safe, whether it wanted to be or not. Chancellor Thane's final report to the Council will become required reading for all diplomatic personnel. We responded to a distress signal from a primitive species under attack by ancient monsters. What we found was that the monsters had awakened something far more dangerous than themselves. Humanity did not ask to become the galaxy's apex predator. But once they assumed that role, they embraced it with the same ruthless efficiency they had shown in eliminating the Devourers. The emergency signal that had started all continued to broadcast from Earth, but now it carried a different message. This is Earth calling all civilizations. We are here. You are safe. You are protected, whether you like it or not.